Duchess. And as you already know also, I'm not alone in the presentation. Please allow me to welcome my co-host, Mr. Melwin Ibinga. Melwin, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Samba?
What was that like? I'm not sure about. Was it about you?
Yeah, I'm a good person, you have to applaud me.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That is very true. So tonight, just like every other Thursday, we have a very interesting topic, something that touches the heart of many youth in particular, because it's something that majority of the youth right now are going through. So we are going to be talking about youth and unemployment, the sustainable way to solve that issue. And tonight we had the pleasure of welcoming Madame Chuzuzo Morin. Madame Chuzuzo Morin, she is the founder of New Wave Impact. I am going to give the time to Mr. Melwin to present to us who Miss or Madame Chuzuzo really is.
Thank you, Sangwa. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have the honor to welcome Madame Chuzuzo Morin to discuss a crucial topic on African Youth Time TV show, Youth and Unemployment. Madame Chuzuzo Morin is a dedicated professional with over 8 years of experience in humanitarian aid, monitoring and evaluations, strategic development, and entrepreneurship. She specializes in designing and implementing innovative initiatives that promote sustainable development, improve livelihood, and foster socio-economic growth. She holds a master's degree in international relations, security, and strategy, and currently works as a male lead. And she's the founder of New Wave Impact, as we said, and consultant using her expertise to create positive impact across different communities. Good evening, Chuzuzo Morin.
Wow.
Good evening. What a lovely introduction.
Yeah, you deserve it.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting
Impressive.
me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, of course.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And we are honored too.
To have you, actually. So it's a pleasure to welcome people who have meaningful and impactful objectives and status towards, the youth in particular, especially because you look like, you are in our age gap, and you are already a CEO, right?
Yeah. She's young, but she's already a CEO.
I know. Something that many of us really look up to, or many of the youth who are looking at us, or watching us really look up to. So it's always nice to have young people inspire the young people to become greater.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So let's start our discussion.
Yeah.
And I want to start by asking you, let's go back to your childhood. What's that something that really sparked, or what's that childhood dream that really sparked, or do you think that created the woman that you are today?
Thank you so much for having me once again. And I think there was, I don't think there was a significant particular time where I'm like, this is the aha moment, but I think it's a plethora of different events that have led me to the woman that I am today. I think I was fortunate enough to grow up in an environment that really promoted me to be of service, respectful, and give back to the community and the needy. And I think to make it more personal, obviously in the post-genocide Rwanda, I was very lucky to have that kind of environment and space where I learned about the liberation movement, the idea of the Umunu with Ingotanyi, and just learning and being part of that community really made me embrace that idea of servitude and really built that aspect of who I am today as a woman.
Yeah. You said something like, sorry, I'm not Rwandese.
It's
so
okay.
I don't understand those. You say two technical words in Kinyarwanda, umunyu and something.
Umunu. Actually, umunu is an African terminology. It's giving yourself or being part of humanity in a way that is selfless, and it's an ideology that has been Pan-African throughout.
Really, it's empath.
Yes.
Being an empath.
Yeah, being an empath in a way that is above you or an outward part of you and being. And Ingotanyi is the liberators of Rwanda post-genocide. So the Ingotanyi were part of this Umunu ideology was a drive for the Ingotanyi to go beyond themselves and look for positive peace and reconstruction, rather than trying to give revenge and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
So we are still on your childhood or your youth in particular. So Melwin said that you're part of humanitarian.
Yes.
What caused that? When was that part? When was that time that defined this person that you are now, that led to become this humanitarian human being?
I think going back to my childhood, obviously the environment, but also a big part of the values I grew up with were to give back. I remember during Christmas, we would donate, items to the needy, but also recognizing that there's vulnerable people and there's people to really help, and recognize that you're part of a more, privileged, I would say, community. So recognizing that growing up was really a thing that was cherished in our household and in my family and community as well. Yeah.
Wow, that's very impressive. So it's actually the environment that you were surrounded by that shaped your vision.
Who you are.
Absolutely.
Humanitarian head. That's very impressive, actually. So this was the part of your childhood, and we are going to address the part of your education, actually, your education journey. What was it in your educational journey that shaped your vision of leadership, development, and humanitarian head?
I did my bachelor's, my undergraduate in global studies, international studies. Okay. And during these times, we would have these sessions where you have to sort of represent a country and learn the country as a whole, and then try to find a way you can, fight for its interests, at the same time understand its context. So finding a way to, obviously defend your position, and then understanding that the global world as we know it has so many layers and so many issues that need to be responded to. And so this kind of helped me find a center and understanding that you need to take into account so many aspects of something to, respond to it. So I think that my undergraduate made me kind of open my eyes to the global world and how it is. And I would say my master's really fine-tuned that aspect, where it's like, okay, now we found all these issues, but how can we respond to them, and what approaches can we use, and what kind of knowledge do you need to have and be equipped with to respond to such issues. So that whole context really shaped my idea in terms of how I approach work and how I approach entrepreneurship, where you don't just find a solution to one thing, but you want to have a holistic approach to various things, and then find a way to be sustainable and find a solution.
You've said, like, you looked very happy when you say that you were having experience whereby you have to study the whole country, a country as a whole, and actually defend the interest of the country. Can you tell us, like, based on your memories, which country did you defend? I just want to have like one of those countries.
Yeah, I think I was given so many times we're given different. Obviously, they wouldn't give you your home country because they wanted you to obviously learn. I think there was a time we were trying to solve a Northern Africa situation. I think I was given Morocco, and there's so many layers. There's like trade, then there's politics, and then there's also actually unemployment, and they have a huge, a huge booming youth. So we were trying to find a way to expand on our trade and our infrastructure, at the same time looking at the crisis that is in North Africa in terms of ethnicities and tribal conflicts. So that was one of the interesting things, I would say, that was a memory that I had, remembering learning about the conflict and then how to work with our interests. Yeah.
Okay. During your academic journey, did you face any situation, any problems that actually shaped the person that you are today, and which lesson did you learn from it?
That's a good question. I think there are many challenges, but I would say personally, something that I did, because I was trying to find a way to also have my personal growth at the same time as I was having my education. So I think one of the challenges that I faced was I was working while I was studying. So trying to make sure I meet deadlines at the same time while I'm also, meeting my job and my job needs as well. So that was kind of a challenge, I would say, both for my undergraduate and master's. But at the same time, this challenge was an opportunity because it really led me to understand how to use my time very well and to kind of, just build around that environment of pressure. With that saying of pressure builds diamond or like strong materials. Yeah. So I think that's really helped me understand that sort of atmosphere, and yeah, that was a challenge for sure.
I will have another question.
Yeah.
What was your job when you were at university? You say that you were managing both of them.
Right. So there were both internships. Because that was my university. I was working with a marketing company, and it was an internship. Then when COVID hit, I also got an opportunity to work with an NGO, a local NGO here in Rwanda, and it was also an internship that later became a job. But it was definitely demanding, going to the field. I remember one of my master's final submissions for one of my classes. I was in Rusizi, which is now a district a bit far, and I had a network issue, and so submitting my final paper for that unit at the same time, having to be on the field. So that was definitely challenging, yeah.
Okay. So now let's dive deep into the topic, the main topic that really brought us here, youth and unemployment. This is very critical because we are in a time where not only do we have a problem of inflation that is really causing so many issues, but we also have an issue of increasing number of youth who are coming outside on the job market and then not having anything to do. They don't have the capacity, they don't have even the means to start something small. So let's dive deep into the topic. What do you think is the main root cause of unemployment, specifically in Africa? What do you think the main cause of unemployment in the youth, specifically, and in Africa?
Thank you. I think in order for us to address that issue, we have to first deconstruct the idea that there is an African problem and African youth in terms of how we address, we have 54 economies, we have 54 situations, I would say, on cases. Within those, we have another layer of, ethnicities, another layer of languages. So usually when the West refers to, the African problem or like African youth, it's very important that while locating the root cause and the information that we look at as the cause, we understand that it's a diverse situation. For example, what you will find as a root cause for someone here in Rwanda will not find the same root cause for someone maybe in Ghana or Sudan or, in situations like that. So I think the first root cause of unemployment, I would say, is informality. For example, we assume that African youth are the most affected in terms of unemployment, but actually in the global index, we have 57% of Africans who are actually employed. 57% of African youth. 57% in comparison.
So 43 are not.
No. That's not how statistics work. But that's a thing. That's a very good question because due to informality, we have people who are doing, I would say, non-white collar jobs and non-registered jobs. So people who are doing, skill-based jobs and jobs that are not registered as actual jobs. So African youth are not idle. They're not lazy. I think this informality leads to a lot of gap in terms of information where you're not, registering this youth, you're not giving them secure jobs, and also conflict, which is another root cause, where we find youth who are in conflict zones or places that are, not able to have that reach.
Security. Yes.
Security. It's very difficult. We have the most recent situation where Moroccan youth and young men were on the shores of Spain. And some of the interviews, you would find that it was youth where they got an alert that they're going to go and get jobs in Spain, and they crossed a very dangerous path to try and go find jobs.
Yes.
Another aspect I would say is a root cause of youth unemployment in Africa is digital literacy and the digital gap. We find that in comparison to the global community, yes, we are, on a better set in terms of the people who are employed, even if it's informally, but we have youth who do not have access to the digital platforms or digital literacy at all, who don't have access to phones, and this really gives a huge gap to information and to access. And another thing is the linkage to markets or to local markets. For example, we'll find that there is highly educated youth in Northern Africa, or even people who are, graduating secondary school, but the curriculum that they are taught doesn't match the job markets. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that Kigali or Rwanda has really done it's a new approach, is trying to find ways to give skills to youth and extracurricular time that really makes you a multifaceted individual, because you finish education, you finish school, yes, good, but then it won't match the job market needs. And so that linkage in curriculum and education also needs to be addressed. I would also say the issue of gender parity, where we have, in Africa particularly, there are situations where we have women who are still, or girls who are still being into child marriages, and youth who are still, performed, female genital mutilation, who don't have access to education, women and girls who are still facing these issues, and they're part of this, big metric of youth in Africa. So I would say those are a few of the root causes I would suggest that are an issue.
Generally speaking,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, okay. But when we talk about technology,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I feel like many people will say that, oh, technology, we don't have access to technology. But as far as I know, as far as I'm concerned,
Mm-hmm.
these days it's so hard to find it's not an insult to the maids, to the housemaids, but even them are connected.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you mean when you say that technology is one of the leading roots
Issue of unemployment.
of
Yes.
unemployment?
Yes, so I think first of all, we have to understand that digital literacy is not just being on a phone and being able to use a smartphone. It goes beyond that, because digital literacy opens levels and skills to a certain level of, I would say, access to knowledge, to material. When you have actual digital, I would say, coding skills per se, when you have literacy with Word, with Excel, with applications that lead you to that access of markets that is closed off to you, it is totally different to spending time on the phone scrolling on TikTok per se, or going on YouTube, because you don't have enough literacy to have the knowledge to say, okay, I have this phone, it's a tool that's going to lead me to this information, to maybe a short course, or maybe to a skill set that's going to open this market that is very big, I think, globally when it comes to entrepreneurship or innovation.
Okay.
Okay, like
Mhm.
I have one question. Coming
Yeah.
back to technology,
Yes.
most of the time we tend to say that African youth, they don't have the opportunity to get jobs because they don't even see those, advertisements. Most of the time, like, you can be an African and you find maybe a job in Europe,
Right.
but as you are not actually used to see those advertising jobs on internet,
Mm-hmm.
you will not know that there is an opportunity there.
Yeah, you don't even know where to look.
Yeah. So what do you think about it?
I think it's very important that, and I think we're going to touch about how these infrastructures can be built, but it's very important that we understand the knowledge of technology as a tool more than just, entertainment or how to spend passing time. So absolutely, I think that's where literacy comes in, because you need someone to tell you, like, hey, this is more than just something that's going to
Bring
pastime and everything. This is something that can actually create a job for you. And I think that is very important when it comes to literacy and digitization and technology. So I would say that's part of it, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sangwa.
So right now I want to give the time to Mohammed Zain. One part of the youth, I would say, that wanted to join us and
Who is interested in
knowing
employment?
more.
Okay.
Because let's just say that he is an information, how do I say this? He's someone who's constantly interested in knowing new things, informative things.
Okay.
So, if you have any question, you can ask her.
Thank you so much for giving me the chance. So my question is, the first question, I heard her talking about her foundation. So can you tell us more and explain us about your mandate, okay, of your foundation? The second one, I think you have touched something very important. I do think that from all the schools and the colleges that we have, millions and millions of people, they are graduating every year. So I don't believe that the market can receive all of them.
Of course.
So right now we are living in a technology era where we have laptop, we have LinkedIn, we have many tools, and we have people who are working remotely. He can work in an organization or foundation in Canada or in other place. So, but many youth, as you have said, they don't know, they don't have the sufficient information. And some of them, they think like, if you want a job, the only method of getting a job is to go for interview and take your papers with you and print out your CV and you waiting for the interview. And yes, I think most of them, they don't know even how to use email or to send the email. So that is my question for this moment.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think, let me first answer the first one. You mentioned to speak about my initiative and how it came to be. One of the things that I did when thinking about New Wave Impact as an initiative was, it was really inspired by my experience working in development, but also in private sector, where I thought about creating a new wave in its name of impact, where impact is evidence-based, impact is tangible in terms of how you can measure it, and then also, the proof, where you want to make things that you can track, you want to track your activities. And I think it was very important that this is introduced to all the sectors that are possible to be introduced to evidence-based decision making. So it's definitely a gap that I found that was very important, and I thought of it as a community-based response. And I've been lucky enough to have people who are in their own right part of this new wave of impact, who are inspiring in technology, in youth-led initiatives, or even in finance. So these are people who are making decisions, but they have to have data and metrics to back them. And these informed decisions and data lead you to something that's more sustainable. So when it comes to your second question, speaking on, we have a very big educated continent. Actually, I think on the global index, we're a very educated continent in terms of Africa. But when it comes to application, there's always that one linear idea of how to do it. And I was part of those people as well. But once you understand that, once you understand that, firstly, you don't have to necessarily wait. I think one of the issues, obviously, our environment is part of the thing that really enables us. I would say, luckily enough, here in Rwanda, it's very accommodating. But I would say, for us to join the workforce, or for us to make money or be employed, it's very important that we understand that you don't have to have this big idea. You don't have to have this big, like aha moment of something, and you can work as you wait for this position or whatever you're trying. You can work towards it. And I think one of the things I really encourage is the side hustle culture. Side hustle culture, enabling yourself to just skill yourself in different things. It can start as something you're just selling, something that you're promoting, and just build on that and build on that profit and make towards what you really want. I would also say to really put yourself out there in terms of educating yourself even more in different skill sets. So things like TVET skills, or even small diplomas and things that can really make you more attractive. Because these days it's very important that we understand that the job market is looking for people who have so much to give in terms of, a diversity. So you have to be able to have this education, but at the same time be practice. So these small diplomas and small courses are not something to underplay. And I think another thing is to look for formalization. When you're doing all these side hustles or small businesses you can start on the side, don't underlook formalization. So finding a way to make things real. So this means finding gaps in I would say the economy, but also in processes, and looking around you and saying, okay, this is what's lacking within my community or what's lacking within our economy that I can respond to. And when you map this particular issue, then you're like, okay, I'm going for that. And how can I formalize it and make it trackable as well? Was that, I don't know if that was helpful. Are you satisfied?
Thank you.
Okay.
I want to ask you one more question.
Yes.
So, right now, from your point of view, right now we are living in 2026. So, what is the global trend? What is your advice for the youth who want to join the university? I think from your point of view and from your experience, you feel there is some fields and some domains, they are more desirable and they have a good chance in the market of today.
I would say, first of all, maybe I'm biased, but it's very difficult to say this is more important than another. I would say, obviously, keep up to speed with the digital world. Right now we have AI advancements, we have information technology that is just a whole new wave. So I would say definitely keep up to speed with that. And I would say there's a lot of opportunities that are going on in that sector, I would say technology particularly. I would also say to keep grounded and always find something that responds to your current situation or context. So for example, if you're in a particular situation or scenario, trying to find what responds to the issues that are there. So let's say you're going to find something in maybe conflict or development, so it's always good to stay on track with the global context, which is, I would say, technology, but at the same time tailor your to your response and what you need to know depending on your context. So I don't know if that was helpful. Yeah. Okay.
You're very satisfied?
Yes, I am satisfied.
Okay. I think she's very brilliant. I think she's very brilliant, honestly.
Okay.
Very, very brilliant. So
Thank
let's
you.
proceed to understanding more what's causing the unemployment within the youth. Because even the time is running, so we have to use our time as efficiently as possible, in order to be able to answer all the questions that many people have, So to what extent do gaps in education, system and skills development contribute to the high unemployment rate among the African youth?
Yeah, I think education is it's a huge part of definitely the nuances of unemployment that we have in different African contexts. It plays a huge role because even though there is that mismatch in terms of labor markets and curriculum, we still see that education is very important when it comes to obviously having the skills and knowledge to reach what you need to reach. So I would say it's a huge impact, and I would really encourage however much you can, even for people who are, maybe don't have access to good universities or maybe to inform yourself. But it's very important that people learn and use education as a tool. And I think we have gaps even within the Rwandan context or even other countries. We have a huge gap when it comes to education, because what someone learns in a city and the resources available to them is a gap in someone who's in a rural area, for example. So for someone who's in Mogadishu, someone who is in, Karamoja, it's totally different curriculum and the access that they have and the quality of education. So it's very difficult to close those gaps, but it's very important in order for us to move forward. An educated mind is an impenetrable mind. So I would like to think that education is a huge role when it comes to development and even employment.
But if you're going to be at least a little bit more realistic, there are a lot of people who are educated, but they can't seem to find a job. What do you think of that? Because, I mean, at one point, people used to say, even in the early years, people used to say, oh, the more you educate yourself, the better, the better the education, the better the job.
Yeah.
You should learn to be a doctor. You should be a doctor. You should be an engineer.
Yeah.
So how many engineers do we have now that are seated at home? They
That's
have
very
their
true.
diplomas, but they haven't managed to get a job. How many people do we have right now who have diplomas in economics, in science, in biology, in chemistry, in
law.
In law.
in law,
That's the one.
Yeah.
in law.
Yes.
But right now are seated,
Yeah.
are sitting in their homes. They don't have any link. They are connected. They are literate in the technology. They know how to search for jobs, but they can't seem to find a job. So what do we do with that?
That's a very good question. I think going back on that mismatch that we tend to have, this old idea that once you get this is guaranteed, and I think we need to really wake up to the idea that the global context of things and the way that Africa needs to be moving is more diversified and is definitely needed to diversify your skill set and your knowledge, in terms of it's not a guarantee that because you learn something you're going to be that thing. I can say for myself, people that I have spoken to throughout my journey, sometimes they don't do what they studied, or they don't end up doing exactly what they envisioned their life to be, because that's just not how life is. And I think you have to really prepare for that time frame where I want to do this, I want to achieve this goal, and I want to be in this position, but in order to get there I have to make myself knowledgeable and diversifiable in terms of my skill set. So this is why it's really encouraged when you choose to become multifaceted. And I think the idea of education I'm trying to at least promote is the idea of that diversification of knowledge, where you inform yourself on different skill sets, you learn different ways of doing things, start small side hustles, start more small businesses, build towards something while doing another thing. So I think it's very important that we think about it like that in terms of education and skills. And we have engineers at home, we have lawyers at home, but it's really important what they're doing with their time while waiting or while thinking of where to get.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's really good. So, and at the same time, I also think that we want to understand more, because we can't really leave this conversation without really talking about the impact that the government has on these kind of issues. Do you think that the government, or let's say public funds, or government help, so government aid or something like that, all those kind of things, do you think that they have a specific type of impact as to how this unemployment thing is happening right now?
I think I absolutely agree with that. Environment is very important. I think, as I spoke from my experience of getting to where I am today, and I think the Rwandan government has done an amazing job at trying to really tackle these issues. They've already currently beat their 2026 goal for employment, creating hubs, creating network communities, creating spaces for youth to even invent and intern, bring opportunities here. I think it's very important that Africa as a whole thinks about the solutions in terms of governance, because youth unemployment is not just youth unemployment. It has to do with your environment, with your mental health, with basically the enablement of you having that idea and being safe and secure to have that vision. So definitely I would say governance is a huge part. We also have, Ethiopia having these innovation hubs as well, and creating that space for linkages, particularly to the job markets that they're in. So people who are actually working in TVET or in markets that are doing with agriculture, they are connected immediately to those particular markets. So I would say government does a huge part, and it's definitely a huge part of enabling that environment for the youth. So yeah, I would say it's important.
A little bit of a follow-up question.
Yes.
Before I give space to Melwin to ask you maybe the remaining question that he has is I kind of feel like I'm asking for the people who are looking at it, who are watching us, so I have to be extra sensitive with this topic. So you were saying that government creates these hubs and everything, which is really good, and yes, we do appreciate it, we would love it, but to what extent do you think they do it? Because even though many people have come here and said, oh yes, these hubs are available, they do this, they do that, but the numbers keep increasing. When you see the numbers, they keep increasing. The unemployment is increasing day by day. It doesn't reduce, it actually increases. So you wonder, do you think that anything should be done differently?
I think, I can't speak for the African context, but for the Rwandan context, we see actually a decrease in unemployment. Speaking for the African context, I could say the number of youth is always going to increase. So finding a way to mitigate this risk of higher unemployment is finding a way to contextualize the issues. So the solution for governments should be not a uniform issue for everyone, because you have to first find the context of the situation that you have within your country, and then find a way to tackle it, because what works in Rwanda won't work in Ethiopia, won't work in different countries. So I can say that it's very important for countries to not just be like, youth are unemployed, but to say what is actually really the root cause of all this, and you'll find there's so many factors to look at.
Okay.
Thank you. It's okay now, you have talked too much about problems, you're going to address solutions. Solutions now. Now we'll start by asking you about the youth. How can African youth can actually leverage entrepreneurship, innovation, digitalization, in order to create job for themselves and also for other people, because they don't have to wait actually for the government.
That's very true. I would say thinking about solutions for particularly the youth. I think we just spoke about how maybe governments can think of those, but for the youth, I think firstly, start branding yourself. It's very important that you create a portfolio, you identify your skill set first of all. It's very important that you think of yourself as someone who is undeniable in your line of work or whatever you're going to produce, and give it that level of effort. I would say also make yourself informed and just diversify your skill sets. I would say there's short courses, certifications, things that you can really do to make yourself learned in different things that can make you, not only in survival mode, but also in terms of your line of work. I would say, for example, for myself, when I was working with the NGO I was working with, I initially had the M&E internship, and then I also had a skill set in Canva, which is an application where you can design and do all those things. And because I had the skill set, I was given the role of also a communication specialist. So this is something that's enabled me to diversify and also have that role. I think another thing that the youth can really do is digital literacy. And this is not something that is like we were mentioning, using phones and passing time, but actually trying to learn, different things and tools and applications that can make you money and generate income for yourself. Doesn't necessarily have to be coding and next level, but it can start simply even like the designing, or simply even ways to market yourself and be creative. I think other solutions are around, I would say, routine. It's very important to have a routine. It's very important, even if maybe you are trying to pass free time, but it's very important that you have something that grounds you. I would say for myself, it's fitness, but something that really grounds you and gives you that routine as well, and that passes time in a healthy way. So maybe if you're not learning a skill, you're trying to better yourself and have that personal growth within yourself too. It's very important. Yeah.
Okay, you're saying something really important about branding yourself as a young people, and you tend to say, like you have said it many times actually, that you have to learn other skill set. But most of the time, for example, we use LinkedIn right now. We use LinkedIn to promote ourselves, to promote our skill set, etc. But what do you think of someone? For example, me, I'm a lawyer. Now I'm doing journalism, but maybe, except that I'm doing design and other things and other things. What do you think an employer will think when he sees that you do everything, but you don't specialize in only one thing that it can hire you for? What do you think of it? 'Cause most of the time, when you focus on many things at the same time, you don't become excellent in one thing.
Yes.
So what issue can it bring to the employability of the young people? This is the question.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think we have to deconstruct the idea that you have to focus on one thing to be excellent at it, because just because I'm good at maybe decoration or designing something doesn't mean that I can't find spare time to do other things. It's very important that we approach life as it is, especially as African youth. We don't have the privilege to really focus on one thing. And if we're trying to respond to African contexts in general, it's very important that we understand that you don't have the privilege to really do one thing completely. You can get to that point and you can build to that point, but you want to be able to keep up and have food on the table. So it's very important that you make your brain this kind of, we're already people who are like, I think African youth are very good at the side hustle culture and having something while you're doing something. So I think it's not something that is a disablement. I think it's something that's an enablement. And the reason why it stands out, at least from my experience, is that employers, even when they interview you, they don't necessarily ask particularly on that topic. They will ask what you do with your spare time. They will ask, what other things do you have and other skill sets do you have? And you will stand out because you have all this experience in different things. And also try not to spread yourself too thin. I think it's very important that you can focus on something that promotes and enables your mental health and grounds you basically. And then something that creates income and generates income, and something that you love to do that maybe is a hobby, because all these things are going to develop you in some way and can turn into profitable income opportunities.
Okay, you have said three things: something that grounds you, something that generates you money, and something that you love. Can you tell us those three things about yourself?
For myself?
Yeah, of course.
I would say for me what grounds me is fitness and hiking, being in nature. What generates income, I would say, is my role as male lead. And I would say something I love is New Wave Impact, and by extension. So, yeah.
So, Mr. Mohammed, do you have a question?
For me, I don't have questions, but I have 2 points that I want to mention. So we have covered everything. And by the way, because we are talking about the African context, we have forgot something important. Let us talk about my country specifically, and maybe some African countries. We have the problem of favoritism, nepotism, and corruption.
Nepotism.
Yes, of course. It is not important how educated you are. not important how smart you are. It is important how many connections you have. So my appeal for African governments, be a part of the solution. Don't increase the problem. Don't let your youth, instead of working and developing the country, go for the street and destroy. And as we see, manifestations, demonstrations, it has a very bad impact. Okay, and the second things, don't let your youth crossing the sea and sinking in the Mediterranean. They are trying, when they are trying to reach Europe, and even in Europe, they just will become homeless, and also they will continue in the poor life. So that is all my two appeals.
Do you have something to say on that? Or?
Firstly, I'm so sorry about, you're from Sudan.
Thank you.
So sorry about the conflict there, and I think everything you say is very true. And I really like that's a contextualized issue, and it's very important that you tailor, that African governments or even your government think of tailoring a solution that is particularly to that context. And yeah, I'm in agreement with you.
And me, I have something to say on that. I know I'm supposed to ask questions, but actually, I have something to say on that thing of nepotism.
Yeah.
Actually, what I think of it is that nepotism, it's somehow okay. What I mean by that is that, let's assume that you, as an individual, you're not finding your job, the job that you want to actually exercise, and they're not noticing you. For me, it basically means that you are not good enough for being noticed. So work on yourself. It's hard, but it's okay. It's like this. Like, work on yourself and make yourself noticeable, because there is no one in this life that it was easy for him. For me, you have to work so that they will notice you. And after that, you can get your chance. That's the thing.
Go outside and connect. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And to everyone watching, work on yourself. Brand yourself, as Mrs. Maureen said. Brand yourself.
That's part of the solution.
Build skills that you will use and that will promote you. That's the thing, actually. Just work hard. It's okay. It's like this. For me, it's like that.
Yeah, I think just to
He's
I
confused.
disagree with you.
No, I
disagree with you.
I
Absolutely, I disagree
I
with you.
assumed you were going to disagree, and I
Yeah,
think
of course.
when it comes to corruption, it's never okay, and then nepotism is an issue. I wouldn't say just for Africa, but it's a global thing, and a lot of our society really travels by word of mouth. And I think one of the initiatives that New Wave Impact is working on is the Huza app, which is meant to link informal workers to households and businesses to sort of have that formalized work for informal sector. But one of the things when I was doing the research is that most people, even when it's a mechanic or if it's someone to do like something small, they will travel by word of mouth. So nepotism is that same structure within, I think, African context, where someone will say, oh, you want someone for this role? I know the perfect person, and I know this person because I know them from my last job and things like that. So I'm not justifying nepotism and I'm not supporting it. I would just say that it's very important that we pinpoint the root cause, which is, I would say, the leadership that allows that kind of system. I would say it's very difficult in situations where government is actually working well to find places that are, easily corrupted and easily penetrable, even as an entitlement of nepotism. It's very important, once again, to brand yourself and put yourself out there and at work. And unless the government finds a solution, then.
And most importantly, she was saying that when we recommend you with the word of mouth. This person, I trust you. This person, I know him from maybe a previous job and everything. The person that you are recommending is actually having your trust. It means that this person was actually good enough to earn the trust that you have in him. And if someone is not recommending you, it's because they don't trust you. So you have to work on yourself again.
Well, that's debatable.
Yeah.
That is debatable, but that is not the point of discussion that we are having right now.
Okay.
Before we end our discussion, I want you to give advice to the youth that's watching us, currently unemployed, what's something that the final message will you give them, a word of encouragement maybe, before we finish with our show tonight?
Firstly, thank you guys for inviting me and having me here.
It was an honor.
And I think my final message I would like to say is don't be afraid to fail. You have enough time to start again, and information is the new currency, so keep informed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
This was honestly one good show, and I feel like when it comes down to points like this, everyone can see themselves in it, because I feel like most of us have been in that point where we're like, oh my God, I need a job.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
And you had to come up with ideas, you had to come up with solutions. By fire, by force.
Yeah, I know.
By fire, by force. Some people take the wrong route
Yeah.
when it comes to these things, when they are too desperate, because when you are an adult and you get that age where everyone, not only yourself, but also the society, is telling you that you need to fend for yourself. You need to be earning your money. You need to be doing something with your life. You can't just be sitting here and sleeping,
I know.
And then you're searching everywhere, beating all the corners, and nothing is coming out of it. Some people tend to take the high roads or the wrong roads. They become thugs. Some become prostitutes, and you can't really see that and judge, because you have never really walked in their shoes. But to conclude on what you said, I personally think that it's really important for everyone, the young people who are watching us, it's really important that you start focusing on something like, oh, I want to be a journalist. Let's take that as an example, because there was a time I wanted to be a president.
And you can still be a president.
There was a time I wanted to be a president.
Why not?
But sit down, touch some grass, be realistic. See what you have, observe and examine your cards, and see if they can really get you there. If they can't, because most of the time they will not, be realistic.
But don't forget to dream also.
Yeah, dreaming is really good, but the
best.
biggest thing is to be realistic.
Okay.
Yes, many people dream, and they stay in that state of I will dream, but they don't consider the environment that they are in. So sit down, touch some grass. After touching some grass, when I say touch some grass, I mean be realistic.
Yeah.
See your environment, analyze it, learn, and see what do we need around here. That's the first thing. The second thing is many young people hate certain jobs. They say I need money, but then there's a job position there, and they're like, with my diploma, I cannot do that. That's degrading. But do you need money? Do you really need money?
They don't.
Because if you really needed money, you would do that job.
That part.
For as long as it's not disrespectful, for as long as it doesn't take from your respect, for as long as this is not something that can, not everyone will see you and be like, oh my God, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Go there and take that job.
Yeah.
It's a matter of ego.
Yes.
When you think about it.
Oh my God.
Because if we're really talking about it, there are a lot of jobs.
A
Yeah.
lot. A lot that you can.
But many people don't want to take the jobs.
Yeah.
Many people forget that point. Because I feel like I can testify to this. After my university school, I didn't really have a job. I was struggling mentally, because it even affects your brain.
Yes, absolutely.
It affects you mentally. And I was like, I really need money, Yeah. It got to a point where I was like, I can't do anything. And then I got this job, really, really, really small job. I knew that my colleagues was doing something big, the ones who are connected.
Yeah.
The ones who have the people who have the leads, but also the smart ones. Don't forget that there are people who are really smart.
They are qualified enough.
And their smartness can really reach them to certain levels.
Okay.
Don't forget that some people are really smart, and they have worked really hard to be in the position that they are in. But there are also the people who are, who are connected. And if you don't have that, take the job. Take that job. Because a friend of mine told me, when I was in that job, I started doing it and I was like, what am I doing? I was questioning myself. I was like, what is this? But many people were trying to encourage me and tell me, a bad job will eventually give you a good job. Because if you don't have a place to start on, if you haven't been connected, if you don't have those connections, if you eventually be like, let me start small. This small one that you're doing,
Yeah, just
you are
start.
meeting people. You know, people are getting to see you. You know, like someone who's in their home,
Absolutely. Yeah.
closed behind closed doors.
Yeah.
You are outside. You are learning the environment. You are learning the playground, and this is how you meet people who are going to eventually connect you
Yes.
to a much better job, and a better job, and a better job. So, get outside and do that job.
Yeah.
Don't be too egoistic,
Yeah.
honestly, because many people are unemployed because of ego, their big ego.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
You know.
agree with you.
They're like, I'm a Gen Z, I don't want to do
I
this.
agree with you.
You
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
You know, you
Nothing
can.
is too small.
Learn for something small. Learn to be like, I can do this, even though it's small, but eventually you have to have a picture of what you want to attain,
Absolutely.
but be ready to start small. Anyways, it was really nice having you. As I said
Yeah.
before, Melvin, thank you very much. It's
Thank
always
you
a
so
pleasure
much.
having
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Maureen.
Zane. You're always
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
So let's
Howard.
see each
Thank you,
other
guys.
next Thursday. Same hour, same place. It's always African Youth Time, your very favorite show. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.